So at this time, I'd like to invite Mary Quinn Raymer, David, Ann, and Kara to the stage. And moderating today will be Mary Quinn Raymer with VisitLEX, President of VisitLEX. And then again, joining us on the panel today is David Helmers. He's the co-producer of the Railbird Music Festival. Ann Hardy with Horse Country, and Kara Heisenbuttel with Keeneland. Now I'll turn the program over to Mary Quinn.
Thank you very much, Jeff, and it's very nice to see you all. You have no idea how impressive it is that I'm here, functioning, ready to roll, 8:30 a.m. I'm more of a night owl. David and I left each other about 11 o'clock last night, and here we are again. So we have a lot of AC folks that have been in town all week, and so we've been doing our best to share our Lexington hospitality with them, sampling many of our fine restaurants and sipping some good Kentucky bourbon. So it's great to be with everyone this morning, and also delighted to be with some of my dear friends and colleagues, Kara and Ann and David. We see a lot of each other. We have the opportunity to do many great things together, and so it's fun to be with you guys. I want this to be conversational, and so I'm going to ask some questions, but I also would like to leave some time. I don't know where Angela is, but I would like to leave some time at the end for us to do some Q&A and see what maybe is on your minds, as well as we have some fun things to do at the end related to this weekend. So with that, I will get us started. Given the timeliness of Railbird and what's coming up this weekend, I thought I would start my questions with David. And I really thought that I would just give him a very softball question to kick us off, which is a little bit about how you personally made it a desire and mission of yours to bring a music festival to the city.
Good morning. That is a good question. I have a love and a passion for live music and have traveled for many years to different locations attending music festivals. And it occurred to me in doing so, one, that it's kind of a hassle to have to go to spend a hotel night in New Orleans or Chicago or Charleston to see some of these acts. And wouldn't it be nice if we had A-list musical talent coming right here and had an event here? And what I also spent some time thinking about, New Orleans Jazz Fest is kind of an annual trip for my wife and I. And it's a fantastic festival. It's kind of the granddaddy, along with Newport Folk Festival, of live music festivals. They just celebrated 50 years of the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. And when I was there, it occurred to me over many years that it was an amazing vehicle to export the culture of New Orleans. When you go there at the festival, you are getting a full dose of what New Orleans life is about, from the music to the food to the hospitality, and it's all kind of wrapped up in the festival. You also spend a lot of time in and around the city, so it becomes a destination event where you're spending several days. And as I thought about it, I thought Lexington has a depth of culture, unique attributes here, signature industries, that we have enough here to show off, and we ought to be showing it off. And so that seed of an idea evolved over a period of time and through some amazing partnerships, and we can get into that and how Lexington was fertile, not just because of the equine industry and our bourbon industry and our great food and our hospitality, but we have nonprofit organizations, government organizations, and private corporations who all were willing to come together to be the cornerstones of this new event. So someone with an idea could actually transform that idea into an actual reality in an event.
Thank you. So Ann and Kara, I'm curious, the first time that Railbird came across your radar, how you initially got engaged with the event and what your role has been in terms of getting us to this point.
So since I've been at Keeneland, we've thrown around this idea of what if we had a music festival, what if we had a larger concert series. So it's something that we've been very thoughtful of and just waiting for the right opportunity. I mean, this is so different for Keeneland. You guys have been out here for many things over the years, and so it needed to be the right opportunity. And I think that was what was so exciting, is bringing in the expertise of AC Entertainment. This is what they do, and they do it well, so that we could work alongside their team. So it was exciting to feel like this is something that we've discussed for so long, and now we're finally going to make it a reality.
From a personal standpoint, I'm like Dave. My husband and I travel a lot and really enjoy music, so when I heard it, I was just like, yes, let's do it, run with it. From the Visit Horse Country perspective, I think Dave mentioned one of the things that's really compelling about doing a festival like this is being able to share our culture, to be able to share everything we love about Lexington, this area, and we're fortunate to be able to be a part of that signature industry of equine and opening up the farms. So we were just thrilled to be really included and to have a chance to share what we're doing with all the guests who are coming, both local and from afar.
Fantastic. So the three of you each mentioned a word that I think is super important as we talk about tourism in Central Kentucky. And for me, of course, I'm very passionate about what we do on a day in, day out basis in the tourism space, the hospitality space in this community, and love looking out and seeing a lot of familiar faces that I have the privilege of working with, but partnerships. It's easy enough to do what we do in our individual places of work, but I think we really see the wins and the moments of just awesome kind of wow moments when we work together, and partnerships, especially for Visit Lexington, are really critical to that mix. So I'd like to just hear from each of our panelists about how partnerships have informed, not just this weekend with Railbird, but also just in your regular work with your respective companies, how partnerships have played a key role. Whoever wants to start is good.
I'll start. First of all, with Railbird, I had some experience producing a very small or a smaller grassroots festival here called the Moon Tower for a year. Really 2 years I was involved in that in some capacity. And in 2017, just a kind of brief history of how this came together, and I think it's really telling about partnerships. I had coffee with Mary Quinn, and I said, I have this idea of a larger festival, a signature festival that really represents the best of Central Kentucky and Lexington. And so in going to the Convention Visitor Bureau, they could have been less willing to partner, less ambitious, less receptive to this kind of idea, but instead they were very enthusiastic and supportive and said, hey, let's go for it. And so that was encouraging, and it's crucial for someone who has an idea but needs help in doing it to have that kind of support. Our next meeting was with Vince Gabbard, the executive staff here at Keeneland, crossing our fingers, thinking, would they ever consider allowing us to come out to kind of the hallowed grounds that are sacred to us all at Keeneland? And I've said this over and over. I mean, Keeneland is to Lexington what Augusta National is to Augusta. This is iconic property, and we came in asking a favor. Would you be willing to partner? Understanding that what we're asking Keeneland to do is to share their assets with us. And I mean the physical assets, but also the well-deserved asset that is the reputation of this facility and this institution, for the great tradition here and the hospitality. And it takes a lot of courage and leadership to say, yes, we're willing to do that. We're going to try something new, because they don't need to do something new. But it was indicative of their willingness to be a great community corporate citizen and a partner. So that it was a game changer for us. And the same has kind of happened down the line when we met with nonprofits who are supporting the horse industry, like Visit Horse Country, or the bourbon industry, or our chefs here locally. It really was all about partnerships, and we just had buy-in down the line. So it's been fantastic. That type of cooperation and those partnerships have really enabled someone like me who had an idea and had a vision to turn that into what we're about to do this weekend.
Well, from the horse country perspective, we were thrilled to be one of the partners that Dave even included in the conversation. But again, similarly, as a not-for-profit that is very new, we have two really fantastic partners in Keeneland and in VisitLEX, and we're kind of a rising tide lifts all boats organization because of our membership, which represents these 39 different equine-related locations and their willingness to open the gates and kind of share the stories. So from the perspective of Railbird, we're just thrilled to be included and so supportive of this opportunity. And then again, just looking back, all of our members are the only reason why I get to do this job. They're the ones who say, yes, we think it's important to open up these gates for Railbird guests, for tourists, for locals to come and visit, and we're really appreciative of all of those members and our key supporters like Keeneland and VisitLEX who said, if you're going to do this, we'll stand with you in it.
You know, I think from Keeneland's perspective, going back to our founding members and how this place came to be, they wanted it a place where the community could come and picnic and enjoy the sunshine, and that's really important to all of us here at Keeneland. You probably hear Keeneland staff talk about that all of the time. And so this was a unique opportunity to really take these beautiful grounds and partner with something that's important to the community, that's going to bring visitors from 49 states, correct, David? From 49 states, people who may not know anything about thoroughbred racing. We have an obligation to our industry to continue to attract new fans, to attract new people, to fall in love with racing, and this presents such a unique opportunity. One of the things that I love most about working with the AC Entertainment team and kind of how they do their festivals is they really want to ingrain that culture into everything that we're doing. And so we're going to have a wagering central tent there at the festival where you can watch races from Del Mar and Saratoga, and that allows us as an industry to share our sport at a time when we're not racing. I mean, let's be honest, people could drive in and out of these grounds and have no idea what really happens here. But to have the opportunity to ingrain our sport into the festival and into that experience, and then having all of the other partners at the table, we know that if people visit Keeneland and they get to taste the great bourbon and they get to visit our horse farms, then they might consider coming back here for racing. And so it's so great to have everyone come to the table to make sure that we're providing this wonderful experience for visitors when they come to Lexington.
Fantastic. That was a very natural segue. But I was curious if Ann and Kara might talk specifically about, you know, looking into the next 3 days or today and tomorrow and Sunday. What exactly do our guests get that are here in addition to some really fantastic music? We've done a lot of curating for the experience that people will have on site this weekend and around town. And so if you might just elaborate a little bit about what we're doing that's extra that certainly says, hey, you're in Lexington.
Tonight we actually kick off with a paddock dinner. So if you missed out on the paddock dinner series the last 2 summers, there are a few tickets still available for tonight. But people get to come into the paddock and have a nice dinner with Chef Mark so he can showcase some of the unique culinary offerings that we have here in Central Kentucky. Tomorrow morning we have brunches that kick off. Folks get to watch morning workouts, which is my favorite part of the sport, to be able to let them enjoy that intimate, unique experience. I'll let Ann talk a little bit about some of the tours that they're offering. But then during the festival, I mentioned we have Lucky Day Plaza, and so we have this wagering central tent. We're going to have our big LED board. I don't know if you guys are hill tailgaters. But if you're not, you get your chance to experience that. We'll have the LED board out. Our betologists will be here and talk about racing. And so those are some of the unique things that we hope people go home with is remembering having that opportunity.
From the tour perspective, if you all haven't had a chance to get out and visit one of our member locations, please come and say hi to me or to Stephanie Arnold, our marketing director. We would love to host you all for a visit. But when we have people coming in for something like Railbird, some kind of signature event, I think the best thing we can do is give them, in a condensed area and time period, all of our best and favorite kind of things. And so when Dave approached us and said, hey, do you think we can wrangle some horse farm tours? We were like, yeah, we have to figure out a way to do that. So in the morning, guests will have an opportunity to start at the works and kind of see the backstory, and then they'll hop on a bus where I and Stephanie get to play tour guide for the morning and be with them for a little bit, and we'll head over to Godolphin and to Windstar, and they'll really get a chance to see in depth how that stallion operation works and see what those guys are up to and learn about the breeding and all kinds of parts of the signature industry. And what's fun about Railbird is it's not just a dose of all of our favorite kind of cultural things and food and bourbon, you really get to learn a lot. I mean, I hate to be a dork about it, but it's like educational. You're going to learn a little bit about bourbon. You're going to learn about this whole life cycle of the horse. And to have people start at Keeneland for workouts, go to a breeding farm where there are these stallions and mamas and babies, come back to Keeneland where there's racing and sales. I mean, it's like the whole kind of life cycle for us, and it's really fun to be able to share that.
David, if you might just chime in on this question. We also are doing some pretty cool culinary things over the course of the weekend. Might you mention some of our Kentucky Proud
Sure.
endeavors?
Absolutely. So, at the core, it's a music festival still. So we've got 34 acts on 3 stages over 2 days. But what we've tried to do is marry that event with Central Kentucky. So that includes exposure to horse and bourbon industries, of course, as we talked about, in the barn, which we're converting into what we call the Rick House, a bourbon bar. We have single barrel selections from 6 distilleries. We'll stock that bar the entire weekend with that. And so that's kind of a bourbon activation. But then in the entertainment center, attached to that, we have a culinary stage, and throughout the day, Saturday and Sunday, we have local chefs, and this is included in the price of admission, general admission ticket. It's open to everybody, kind of first come, first serve. But there will be cooking demonstrations by the executive chef here, Mark Theron, partnered with Tal Green, who is Crank and Boone. Each chef will be preparing a dish with a mixologist partnered with them, and those who are first there seated will get to taste that. We're staying in the room to watch that with the demonstration kitchen and a mirror. We also have, of course, Rita Michael, Sarah Bradley, the runner-up in Top Chef, Mark Richardson from Dudley's, Cole Ernest from Coles and Eppings, and Dan Wu from Atomic Rum. So it's a great selection of chefs, and it's throughout the festival. One of the things you can do in addition to seeing music is stop by there, and we have a lineup of those chefs, just like the artists. Take a break, cool off, get a taste of some amazing food, and then go on to the next activity there. We've got a children's area. I can go on and on. There are a lot of features there, but the children's area, which we call Phillies and Colts, has, again, these are all about partnerships. Art activities with the Living Arts and Science Center, Kentucky Ukulele Society is coming and doing sing-alongs and interactive music. Our nonprofit partners, Central Kentucky Riding for Hope and Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance, are bringing miniature horses there for the children and parents to see, and on one day, pony rides on the next day. So this is you get a real taste of Central Kentucky right here on the festival grounds, and an opportunity also to get in and around Lexington and when the festival's not going on in the mornings. So it should be great.
Yeah, probably should. I can just, as sort of an add-on to that, say that when we were looking at doing this, sort of launching this festival and bringing it to town, we were looking sort of at the entire year, the calendar year, realizing, okay, we're not going to do this in a cold month, but we have several warm months that we can play to our advantage. And we specifically looked at August, because August tends to be a slower month in the hospitality cycle here in Lexington. We have obviously really strong April and October. June and July actually are very healthy months for the most part, but August, and I think it has a lot to do with back to school, tends to be a little bit of a dip for us. And so we knew we had the opportunity to infuse some life into that hospitality experience during the month of August. And our goal all along has been that this would be an outstanding launch, but that this would be a festival that would be back annually, and that as it grows annually, we can continue to add ancillary events, maybe extending that stay so you come in on a Thursday instead of Friday, or you stay over and are with us on Monday, and we can then have the opportunity to push you out. I know for myself, just recently having traveled down to Charleston for their festival, another AC festival that they do in April, it was, yes, about going to the festival, but also about the opportunity to also be in Charleston and check out a couple of restaurants and go to the beach. And so we very much want to make that same sort of package offering to people that they're here. And so obviously we have to launch a pretty class act event to make sure that people understand we're serious about this, but that's part of our long-term invitation to folks as we curate this event in the years to come. All right, so creating something from scratch is not an easy task, and so I was just curious if you might share from your individual respective, roles, what has been involved in the task of creating this, and obviously we could go on for days, but the highlight reel.
I think I've just pestered people to death for the last 2 years. It started with those conversations I had. Would you be willing to partner with us? When Mary Quinn and Vince Gabbard, VisitLEX, and Keeneland and I kind of formed a partnership that we were actually going to undertake this. We then pursued finding the right production partner, the right company to come here to produce this event. And so that involved bringing folks here to town, educating them on why Lexington was viable and why they should, we're talking about major corporations. AC is part of Live Nation, the largest concert promoter and production company in the world. And essentially, this is about recruiting a major corporation to come here and invest millions of dollars annually to produce an event, which frankly, is a vehicle for our brand. And so it was crucial that they understood and appreciated what the brand is. Why is this compelling? What do we have here that makes Lexington unique, interesting, and that people would be attracted to? So I think my first task was getting them up to speed on how amazing Lexington and Central Kentucky is, and how we have unique industries here. But if you're the least bit curious and you delve into the amazing differences between distilleries and the horse farms here, and what our landscapes are like, and how amazing our food is, you're going to be very satisfied by what you find. And so I became kind of a de facto volunteer tour guide for a lot of these companies who came. I was just mentioning, and I can share this with you next time somebody comes to town, pick them up at the airport, drive them through the Keeneland campus, go up by the castle, you might want to loop through there, and they won't know what they're seeing, but they'll be impressed, and then continue through by the horse farms, come out, pop into Wallace Station, which, and say, oh, we can get some lunch here, and they're not exactly sure what they're getting, and they get an amazing lunch prepared by Weta Michael. You might want to go up to Midway, but as you're coming back through the distillery district, stop in there, go to Goodfellas, get a slice of pizza or a beer at the break room, and by the time you drop them off at 21C to clean up and get changed before you take them out to dinner, they're going to be pretty amazed by what's going on. So that was my challenge, was to get people here and educate them on how amazing this place is. And there was a bit of a learning curve. We had people who were experts in the music industry, and they're drinking from a fire hose trying to learn about the equine industry. We had to explain that we couldn't have American Pharaoh come to the festival for everyone to come and see. We've got all these other great artists, can't we get a Triple Crown winner over here? That's not how that works. There was one conversation where we said, well, we're going to have Lucky Day Plaza, this wagering pavilion, and people can come in. We're on a conference call, and people can come in and bet. And Vince Gabbard, said, well, we do this during the meet, so we'll bring 8 tote machines, and we'll have a bar in there. It'll be air conditioned, and we'll have a veranda outside where people can sit outside and enjoy that. And one of the folks from AC said, "That's great. First of all, what's a tote machine?" So there was an educational process, but we're learning. And
so we spent many hours trying to name the festival. And everything that they kept coming back with equine-wise was very Western. It was like saddle up and something spur.
Yeah,
and I'm
spur.
like, no, that's actually not thoroughbred.
But we figured it out, and I guess it was a long-winded answer. What I felt like I've done is just really tried to be the straw that stirs the drink, bring these great organizations together so everybody can do their part. And what I'm really pleased about is now, nearly 2 years later, from the time Mary Quinn and I first had coffee, and she said, "Okay, David, if you want to do this, go for it."
It is my most expensive cup of coffee to date.
Yeah, and thank you again. since that time, you know, I can look at where we are really on the eve of Railbird 2019, and I do feel very happy and content that what we're bringing to life over this weekend is true to that vision. A lot of the things we talked about from the very beginning are manifest and will be present over the weekend. It's going to be amazing.
Karen, how about on your end?
Well, David stole my story, obviously. The horses, that was the, you know, you all know, we live here in thoroughbred country and we take that for granted. And so when you bring people who have no idea what that means, they take everything so literally. And we were on the conference call and they're talking about the horse corral in the middle of the music festival with champions and Triple Crown winners. And we're like, oh, right. No, we actually won't have horses in the middle of the festival. So we settled on pony rides and miniature horses, so at least people can see the horses. And we were able to offer the brunches and the tours and all of that. And that's how we're going to have the horse effect. But it is funny. It's fun to teach people about your business and how you take these literal concepts and make them feasible, make them work for the festival. I think it's also been fun to teach them about Keeneland and the Central Kentucky community. We're a little different than maybe like a Bonnaroo audience, and so just trying to explain to them our tradition, and we might be a tad conservative as well, but just trying to find that balance between the two, and it's been really fun to bring that together.
Karen, if you might just, while you have the mic, talk a little bit about just the build out and I mean, obviously the very first question is, can we do this in the infield? It's like, no, we can't. But we do have a tremendous campus here at Keeneland, which serves so well. And one of the things that AC was so impressed with, if you think about how they got started, which was Bonnaroo, which is in the middle of nowhere, Manchester, Tennessee. You walk into a campus like Keeneland and it's just ready-made, obviously, for thousands of people and cars and moving water and electricity. And so if you might talk just a minute about the build-out that's over on the hill.
Sure. So people still think everything's here in the grandstand, but it is not. And you'll get a chance to see that. But we have these beautiful, vast grounds. So we've been working with their team and how we created the hub, really built around the entertainment center and utilizing those open spaces. The team moved in on Saturday morning and things started going up, and literally hour by hour there's just trucks coming through and the build out. And it's so amazing to see how much the space has been transformed, and exciting to see the uniqueness of the festival. I was joking with the team, you know, when they go to places like Bonnaroo, they bring everything with them. They're you know, just little trailers or their offices, and here they're in the Keeneland Library. So, you know, they have these fancy accommodations, but it's been fun to be able to host them on our grounds. And as we're talking about build out and labor and resources, you know, Keeneland is a mini city, and so we've been able to utilize our entire maintenance and security teams to support the festival, and that's been really fun for us. To just be able to share our expertise and our vast, our depth and our staff to do that.
Win-win. And Ann, you might just talk a little bit about how you all put this tour package together specifically for this weekend, but just in an even sort of broader sense, how horse country has been a relatively new addition to the tourism product in the market and how you've built that in a very few short years.
Sure. Well, horse country is, our first tours were, in fact, very well timed to be in conjunction with the Breeders' Cup 2015 here at Keeneland. And I know we're all looking toward 2020, which is pretty wild, but horse country is very new, and it has been a whole labor of love to pester people over the last 4 years. All of these wonderful members of ours who said, yes, we want to open up our farm and do tours. We don't really know how to do that or what we're doing. So we've been working through all of that, and I think what's really fun about not just Railbird or Keeneland or Visit Horse Country, but what I love about Lexington and tourism in Lexington is that it is so focused toward the guest experience and thinking about how we can develop products and how we can develop opportunities that are showing people something that is maybe not the easiest or not the most intuitive. I mean, putting a festival on the Keeneland grounds is pretty incredible, even if you can't have American Pharoah. You know, many horses are a tremendous ambassador for the horse industry. They are workhorses for us, those and the teaser ponies. But I think it's really just fun to see all of those logistical things kind of coming into line and all focused on this guest experience and saying, logistically, what can we do, but also operationally, how's that going to work, but still developing a really fantastic product. And it's just fun. It's fun to be a part of that, pestering. If that's what it takes to do it, then we do it.
So obviously, one of the lovely wins at VisitLEX is when we've done something with the visitor in mind, but it also really resonates with the local. That's when we know it's a home run. And we've spent a lot of time today talking about the guest experience and the visitor. I'm just curious, from the three of you, what is it that excites you the most, or you know, makes you have those moments of validation that all this is part of a much larger picture and a much larger impact back to the community? What is it about the visitor that you love the most, working with the most? And some of them are special, so not all of them are fabulous. Kidding.
You know, I think it's been fun. When David and I were talking yesterday about, you know, there's 30% of the people who purchase tickets for the festival are completely outside of our market. I had a call 2 days ago. I get all the special calls that the switchboard is like, yep, I don't know, you got to take this one. And so there was a gentleman from Nebraska who was part of a bourbon club there, and he read about the Weller Select bottles. I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about. David can talk more to that. But he wanted to know if he and his Bourbon Society friends drove 800 miles to come here, that they'd be guaranteed a bottle of Weller. And so it's just amazing to hear the kinds of people who are looking to this festival, in addition to the experiences that have been added to the music lineup to really attract them. That's really fun to know that you're a part of putting together something that's much bigger than just playing some music in a field. It's so much more than that.
Well, we are privileged to speak with guests every day and help them plan their itineraries and their times in the central Kentucky area, sometimes more privileged than others. I will tell you that the request to have American Pharoah back on the grounds of Keeneland is not the most unique request that we've gotten about American Pharoah. But it's fun to be able to share the things that we love and spend so much time on as work with people who can just come in and purely enjoy it. Jacob and I are hosting some friends who are coming in from Seattle and Atlanta to be a part of the festival. And we kind of focus group. You know, we bring our friends in and we show them all the things that we love the most. And what is so exciting about something like Railbird is this is the thing. This is one of the things that we're going to add to our kind of roster that will draw people in that aren't just coming because they're our friends. But we'll draw people in after we focus grouped it and we've seen, like, yes, they love it. This is going to be one of those things that really brings people in from far and wide, and it's so exciting to be on the ground floor of that and to see it all develop and grow, and I'm just really thankful.
I'll say generally the enthusiasm across the board for what for an idea that's coming to reality has been very rewarding. You know, we were written up in Rolling Stone magazine and Esquire magazine and Pitchfork online, one of the top 20 festivals in the world to attend. They don't even know what we're doing yet. And top 10 in a different magazine, which is, you know, you feel great. People really like this. Personally, I have friends who are traveling from all over. I've been married 24 years as of last week. All 5 guys that were in my wedding are coming. And from 5 different states, and they haven't come to Lexington so many times over the last 20 years. Some have been here. So personally, you know, folks are coming. Generally, people are excited. That's very rewarding. I will elaborate a little bit on the bourbon. You know, just as we tried to showcase the equine industry and Keeneland and Lexington and our food. The idea that we came up with for bourbon was to partner as widely as we could. And so we had 6 different distilleries who came in as partners with us. At each of those distilleries, we went to the distilleries, to the warehouses, and did barrel selections. So I keep explaining to my wife that this is work. When I go on Wednesday, I have to drink whiskey out of 5 different barrels or more and pick the best barrel. That this is not just for fun. So in selecting those, we have 4 Roses, Old Forester, Pinhook, a Rye, and then Buffalo Trace, Blanton's, and Weller. And one of the things that's caught a lot of attention here recently is the Weller barrel that we selected was bottled at full proof. And that's the first barrel that they've bottled at full proof. So people have been waiting for this for a long time, now that it's been announced. And these bottles will be available in the market as Railbird selects. But when that went public recently, that's when people from Nebraska are saying, oh, I'm driving 800 miles, but you got to promise me I'll get one of those. And we're not promising that, but there's an opportunity. And the Rickhouse Bar at Keeneland will be stocked with those single barrels throughout the weekend. So you can taste it for sure. Whether you buy a bottle or not kind of depends. But anyway.
So you didn't know you were moving into my next question, but it has to do with media. And one of the things that I always like to have the opportunity to share with people and educate them on is the amounts of behind the scenes work that goes into media placements, media stories. We've been really privileged over the last couple of years at VisitLEX to have a national PR partner that's in New York that's been helping us with our messaging. I know Keeneland does some national outreach as well, and then we are constantly building those relationships with our local and our regional media. And I think that we've been the recipient of some pretty amazing press over the last few years. Railbird not being an exception. There's been fantastic coverage of this festival. I know, Ann, when Horse Country first launched, and even still, there's been just tremendous coverage from outlets like the Wall Street Journal and the Chicago Tribune and major daily papers, NPR features, and great sort of online content as well. So talk just a little bit about the media strategy. I always love it when someone's like, oh, did you see the travel section of the San Francisco Chronicle? Isn't that great? And I'm like, yes. Do you think that just happened? We spend a lot of time hosting people in this market and really doing what we've talked a little bit about today, giving them the deep dive into this community in a span of 72 hours, trying to connect them with the people and the places that really make our destinations shine. But it doesn't happen in a vacuum, and it doesn't just happen usually by happenstance. There's probably somebody behind most of those articles. So just a little bit about the media side of things.
One thing I can say, if you haven't been following or noticing how the Lexington brand, Share the Lex, VisitLEX, the Blue Horse, the food scene here, all of the things that we're talking about here, how that stature has risen, how it's present in the media nationally, how it gets reported as a destination in whether it's in the Boston newspaper or the Chicago newspaper or in the DC papers. You're missing out. That has happened. It's happened not by accident. It's happened through the efforts of Mary Quinn and VisitLEX, working sometimes in partner with Kentucky Tourism, but we've done a really good job of selling the brand that we have here, and that was key for us. And the foundation was laid when we're talking to someone about what an amazing place this is. All those attributes have really been kind of brought to the surface. And so once we announced Railbird, AC Entertainment obviously has a marketing team. They're promoting concerts, 1,000 concerts a year, in addition to 5 festivals that they produce. So they have part of their machining is that marketing effort. But to be able to then partner with the marketing team at Keeneland, the marketing team at VisitLEX, and kind of work in unison has been, it's been very helpful to us in creating the event. We're asking people to try something brand new. And so you have to make people aware of that, first of all, and then you have to actually get them to act. So having kind of an all-star team in marketing, those relationships and working with the agencies and the folks that they do have been critical in us getting the attention that we've received.
And just to add to that, as Mary Quinn and David have both mentioned, the layering between VisitLEX, between Keeneland's efforts, between our PR firm. We've had some really great visitors and travel writers who have been here over the past couple of years. In addition to Kentucky Tourism and Top Chef, it's been wonderful to see all of these different partners come together and see the value in our efforts to layer and tell our story about what's unique about Kentucky, so that everyone realizes we're not just out there to just tell our own story. It's important to really tell the full story and bring all of our different partners and community members together so that we shine together.
Anything you want to add?
Thank you to Keeneland and VisitLEX for helping make Visit Horse Country a part of your media strategy, because we are still a very young not-for-profit, but we love to expand the bandwidth on hosting people and being part of it.
It's been really fun to see the type of coverage and the amount of coverage that we've received over the last few years, and I'm really excited to say that everything from lifestyle bloggers to the Rolling Stones are with us in town this weekend. So Rolling Stones is not a media outlet that we get a ton of play with on a normal day, so it's an exciting, different media outlet for us, for sure. Thrilled to have them with us this weekend. So before I get to my easy question, I have one more question, which is a little bit broader in nature, and that's looking, obviously we've talked a lot about tourism and the role that it plays in this community, more importantly, the role that it plays in the economic development and the vibrancy of this community. It is certainly one of, I know Commerce Lexington and its sort of 5 areas of focus or clusters in terms of driving economic development. The hospitality industry features into that prominently. And the thing that drives me every day is, outside of the genuine passion of sharing this place with people from around the globe, is the fact that I really do think it provides meaningful development back into this community and affords us a quality of life that we all enjoy. So in sort of a larger tourism context, looking into 2020, there's a lot to be excited about next year. So I'm just curious what is on your radar for 20 and what we might be looking forward to down the pike in the hospitality space.
Sure. Well, 2020 is when we will host the next Breeders' Cup. Just had a conversation this morning about how wonderful 2015 was, and no pressure on how to make that even more special in 2020. But really, the Breeders' Cup in 2015 gave Keeneland a wonderful launching point. We had the opportunity to host the world and provide world-class hospitality, and people raved about their experience, and it allowed our team here to stretch ourselves and see what we were capable of. And I think that really made moving into Music Festival and this kind of event much easier. Like, we know as a team that we can do large-scale events like this. And so for 2020, we're looking specifically at Breeders' Cup. We don't take that for granted that 2015 went so well, and having those conversations about where are areas of improvement, how can we continue to build upon those experiences. Since 2015, we brought on our executive chef, Mark Theron, who is amazing, and he has really transformed the culinary experience here at Keeneland. Over the past 2 years, we've hosted the Paddock Dinner Series and really been able to utilize our grounds in different ways to bring people out to experience Keeneland in a setting other than just racing and sales. So we look forward to these larger opportunities, as well as unique, intimate experiences that we'll continue to offer and let people see what we do here.
From a very practical standpoint, Visit Horse Country in 2015 was just a baby, and the way that tours happened, I mean, it's kind of a miracle that it all came together. But it's been really fun over the last couple of years to see with the comfort level of welcoming guests, how the farms have started to expand how they approach guest service and guest hospitality and product development. And what we've seen, especially over the last couple of months, is a real expansion of offerings. So when we launched out there, it was a basic kind of $20 tour, and you're an hour out there and they're telling you your story. But just as we've seen in bourbon tourism and food tourism, there's an elevation that's starting to occur within our membership that we're really excited about. So you're seeing twilight tours at TaylorMade. You know, Laura Richard, their experience director out there, is now an executive bourbon steward. So she's prepping for kind of connecting the dots between bourbon and horse on property at TaylorMade, which is very exciting. I think I can say that Spendthrift Farm is getting ready to launch some photography-focused experiences at the farm. It's just really exciting for us to see whether it's that basic tour where we're welcoming in anyone who wants to come along 7 days a week and hop on one of those tours, or if we're seeing something really geared toward a corporate hospitality, an incentive-based travel, a private experience, an owner-led experience, something that incorporates food and beverage. We're just thrilled to be expanding those offerings. And you know, I would also just say, not only does Lexington as a community love to share our city, tourism is such an important economic driver for us. We have, most of our guests are coming from outside of a 100-mile radius, and many of them from outside of the state of Kentucky. And those folks are coming in here and they're spending dollars with us and enjoying our experience and then leaving. Not to say that we want them to go, but it's, you know, tourism is a wonderful opportunity for our economy, and things like Keeneland expanding those opportunities, Railbird, and everything VisitLEX is investing in. It's fun, but it's also really profitable and important for our community to be a part of tourism.
About a week ago, my wife and I were at home, and I was talking about Railbird, and as I do, and I don't remember what aspect, one of the 1,000 moving parts of Railbird, and I said something about it, and she gently changed the topic and started asking about something else, and I reverted back talking about Railbird again, and then she tried again, and then finally she just said to me, David, can we please for a minute not talk about Railbird that's coming up in next week? So I sat there for a second silently, and then I said, you want to talk about bands for 2020 Railbird? So she got up and went upstairs to bed. But so 2020, one of the things that we'll be talking about, and unfortunately for Anne, that'll start probably August 15th or so, is planning for Railbird next year. That's the idea, is for this to be an annual event. And you know, it's going to be an amazing weekend, and it's a whole lot of fun, and on its surface it's just a playground of amazing live music and food and all those things that we've been talking about. But it's a serious business, and it's an economic driver. There's a direct economic impact of having this event here. We're employing people seasonally. We are inviting people here to visit and spend money. They're flying into our airports, they're renting cars here, they're eating in our restaurants, they're staying in hotels. And then also, in a less direct way, an event like this is raising the profile of our city. And so we think that it will be attractive to people to come back, or to come because they hear about Lexington and Central Kentucky otherwise, or they come to Keeneland on the campus and they say, you know what, I'm coming back in October because I want to actually see live racing on the campus at Keeneland. So it is an important economic driver. The impact of that we'll see and we'll study as we go forward. But you know, going forward, we anticipate and hope that this will be an annual signature event. That's how we crafted it from the outset, and it's something that we put on our calendar and we anticipate, get excited for, and come back every year. And so we will start talking about booking bands pretty quickly. You got to do that way out, and then part of our calendar is the lineup release, and then continuing to partner with not just the businesses we've mentioned here, but all kinds of businesses in Lexington, because we want this to be a vehicle for businesses in this community. You know, these events happen with the support of the local business community, and ideally to the benefit of those businesses. So we'll also be reaching out to members of Commerce Lex and talking about how can we be a vehicle for you to send your message expose folks here and people coming here to what you do and what you offer in terms of products and services.
Very true. One of the things that I haven't mentioned yet this morning, but sort of plays into this larger narrative that we're discussing as far as the types of investments that we're trying to bring to this community, is we completed a destination development plan in 2017. And with that was a real critical look, a lot of data, a lot of looking at comp sets, and we were trying to think about ourselves. What do we do really well here in the tourism space, hospitality space, and then what do we have some opportunities to really improve upon? And one of the things that was highlighted was that we had space in our community and in our calendar for a signature festival. It wasn't specific as to whether it should be food or music or bourbon or what have you, but it was the recommendation of this plan that we could absolutely establish something that would be a legacy event for the community and be a driver of hospitality. And so David's call to me was actually very timely and made it that much easier for me to say yes to those initial meetings and that initial sort of stage where we courted a bunch of different potential partners to town to see if we might be able to pull this off. All of that is to say that we're looking always for ways that this community continues to iterate upon itself and our destination assets and the offerings that we have. And this weekend is a manifestation of those efforts, and it's an exciting one, but there's a lot more coming down the pike, excuse me, and a lot to be excited, excuse me, my allergies, a lot to be excited about in 2020, certainly with Breeders' Cup being a headliner for all of us. Before I wrap up, I'll finish with one pretty easy question, and that is this: what are you personally most excited about this weekend?
Tyler Childers, right? That's who everybody's excited to see. I'm excited to see the lineup, though it is not necessarily a genre of music that I listened to before. The excitement from everybody about how strong our lineup is and how great this talent is really fun, so I'm excited to see that.
Well, I'm just really excited to share Lexington was the Prince. I haven't been here in your group's been many, many years. I'm also personally really excited about the Old Forester because Dave let me come and pick the barrel with them. So I may not be in the scrum over the Weller, but I'm going to try real hard for the Old Forester.
So this is going to sound like a really shameless plug, but and it probably is. I was out there yesterday, and the stages were set, literally. And so stages are up, and pavilions are up, and you're starting to see the infrastructure of what's going to happen there. And that was exciting. And then it dawned on me that that's not really what, that's the table is set. And what's about to happen there when these performers come to town and do what they do is super exciting. And when we talk about the lineup that's been curated here, it's been resoundingly viewed as just a home run lineup. We have Grammy winners like Brandi Carlile, who just won 3 Grammys. Tyler Childers, who played the Tonight Show last week, who is a local guy who was playing at Willie's or your backyard for $500 2.5 years ago and is a headliner now. Fantastic new album just came out. Jack White's supergroup, The Racket Tours. This is the Hosier, whose album also went to #1. Those are the 4 headliners, but if you really focus on the lineup, top to bottom, there is not a weak link in that lineup. The artists from Old Crow Medicine Show to St. Paul and the Broken Bones to Lucinda Williams and Robert Earl Keen and 80-year-old living legend Mavis Staples, who has been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for 20 years. I mean, they're all going to be here. And if one of those bands, is interesting to you and you think, I'm going to go out because I really want to see Robert Earl Keen. I've been a fan for a long time. What I can promise you as the co-producer of this event is come and spend the day out here, wander around. I promise you, you will leave with a new favorite artist. The musical lineup, again, I said this earlier, first and foremost, this is a music festival. If you haven't been to a music festival, you may think, I don't know if that's for me. I promise you, you will have a great time. We paid extra for it. It's going to be fantastic. And what's really exciting is the stage is set, and what's going to go on out here at Keeneland over the next 72 hours is going to be unique for Lexington. We've never had anything on this scale before. And come Monday, you're going to be very happy that you came. Well, you're going to be very happy that you came. So we'll see you out there.
Can I also just say, Dave, I think it's so cool that we talk about big level partners, but like Cricket Press has made a great poster. West 6 Beer is going to be out there. We've got music, Jocelyn and the Sweet Compression, like they eat lunch from some of our favorite parties, the Wooks. I mean, it's so fun that it's also really local.
We have worked very hard to try and give an opportunity for local people to participate, and whether that's artists on the stage, like the Wooks or Justin Wells or Jocelyn and the Sweet Compression, or great local artists who are going to be out here sharing stages with national and international superstars. But again, across the board, West 6 is our craft beer. They brewed a special beer for us. It's in cans. It says Railbird on the side, and it's Frontrunner Ale. To our craft area, all local Kentucky craftspeople and artisans in a tent curated by a couple local artists. They have 20 different artists and craftspeople presenting stuff for sale. So one of the things, AC Entertainment has a lot of relationships. They do festivals and have for a long time. So part of my job, whenever we had an opportunity to partner locally, that's what we were doing. Sierra Nevada would have paid more to be the craft beer at Railbird, and they have done a number of engagements with Sierra Nevada, and they have a history there. But it was really important to me and to the festival that we reach out and give West 6th an opportunity, because if this is about Lexington, and no offense to Sierra Nevada, but it doesn't have anything to do with Lexington. We have a great craft beer, great young business people doing stuff here, and we want to make sure we partner there wherever we can.
I'll just add, since you ask, I'm not going to stalk Brandy Carlisle, but it's going to be just short of stalking Brandy Carlisle. But I've been practicing what I'm going to say when I meet her, so I'm not a complete middle schooler in the moment. No, I'm really super excited. I didn't have anything to do with the lineup at all, but when Brian from AC, we were sitting up in one of these rooms up here at Keeneland doing a very early meeting. It was freezing cold out here that day. And he said, "Hey, here's a sneak peek." And I was like, "Did I just see Brandy?" He said, "Yes." And then she went and won a bunch of Grammys and has been the media darling for sure this spring. So it's awesome. Very excited about having her here. So thank you very much. I'm going to open it up for questions here in just a second. I think I would close by saying that obviously Jeff mentioned this in his opening remarks, that the hospitality industry is very big business for our city. More than $2 billion, billion with a B, in annual spend directed into this community as a result of the hospitality space. But I think there are three words that I would use to sort of sum up what you've heard this morning: persistence, partnerships, and certainly our personality, our Lexington personality. So I hope that you have learned something, had some fun,